So this morning we're off to go to the Barrier Reef. What?
Green Island.
Green Island, but from there we see the Barrier Reef, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We're going on some kind of glass-bottom boat, and then we're going to in this semi-submersible thing, which I hope is somewhat roomy, because I don't like being trapped in a tin can. I'm not a sardine, and I may have to kill people because I'm claustrophobic. We'll see. And this is the ship we're going on, the boat we're going on to get to.
She said slip number 3.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Berth 3 and 4. So we're on the top deck of the catamaran that's taking us to Green Island. And from there we get the glass bottom boat, and then after the glass bottom boat we do the semi-submersible. Well, we've made it to Green Island now. There it is. Last bottom boat's over there. Going on a bit. So this is the little community here on Green Island, or as we like to call it, Tourist Trap Island. Only us and 50,000 Asians. We definitely took the slow boat from China on the way over here. I mean, ever feel like a minority? Whoa, round eyes. Go to bag a boat. So we're killing a few minutes here before we explore this further, because we got to go back to the boat to get onto the glass bottom boat and onto the submersible, which I think I can probably handle. We'll see. Don't like being locked up in a tin can. Well, you know who they're catering to when you look at a sign and it's hard to find the English. All these little birds. Okay, we did have the option to do lunch on the boat, but we decided not to, because usually those kind of things, when you do them, are not that great. And kind of glad we didn't, because it looks like it's pretty much caters to Asian tastes. And really not into that right now. I do like it on occasion, but not on a boat. I will not Sam-I-am. I will not eat Asian on a boat. And this is the last bottom boat, which we're eventually going to get on here in a few minutes.
Keep your eyes out for any stingrays, manta rays, eagle rays, bull rays. There's lots of different kinds of rays that live out here too. So just watch out for them. They do exist. They are very beautiful to see. Alrighty. We're going to get nice and into the wind so it's not going to blow us everywhere. Alright. Now you might see some big worm looking things on the ocean floor too. Those are sea cucumbers. They are a type of animal and they go along the ocean floor and kind of suck up all of the sand and eat the sand. So that's their job. There's over 350 different types of hard corals that live on the Great Barrier Reef, and over 150 different types of soft corals. Now these fish wouldn't be here if not for these corals. There's over 1,500 different types of fish that live around the Great Barrier Reef, and they just love this stuff. You can see some finger coral there, folks. That's the coral that's moving around a bit in the current. That's finger coral. It's a type of soft coral, so it doesn't have exactly the same exoskeleton as other coral. A lot of coral here is at different stages of health, but just because it's really dark in colour doesn't mean it's dying. Most coral is actually a really dark green, so that's because there is a little algae that lives right under the surface. I can't really see from that. Yeah, that would probably be a sea cucumber. Yeah, they have lots of different shapes and sizes. There's lots of species of sea cucumbers. And Green Island was the very first place to export sea cucumbers in the whole world, so there's heaps of them here. But it's thanks to these guys that we actually have such white sand. You see, some of the coral there might look like cauliflower, and that's cauliflower coral. There's also coral that looks like spaghetti, and that's spaghetti coral. And there's also coral that looks like boulders, and that's boulder coral. So as you can see, the names aren't very creative, are they? They're just kind of named after what they look like. There's a bunch of spaghetti coral we're going to slowly pass over there too. You can see it. It's just at the front of the boat, so we're going to just slowly make our way over the top of it. Folks, there are a lot of different kinds of creatures that live around here. One I'm sure you're familiar with is the sea turtle. So the green sea turtle is the most common sea turtle that we see here. And usually they hunt at periods of about 15 minutes at a time, and they pop up for air. Now, lots of people see sea turtles floating on the surface and they think that they're resting. This is actually not true. So, sea turtles don't rest on the surface, they sleep under the water. So if you ever do see a sea turtle that looks like it's resting on the surface, there is one good reason for that. Well, actually it's not a good reason. If you can guess what it is, feel free to call out. Does anyone think they know why a sea turtle might be floating on the surface? Oh, close. Actually, the reason why is because they'll be full of plastic and they can't dive. But luckily, when people do see turtles that are full of plastic like that, it generally means that they can be taken to our turtle rehab centre that's just on Fitzroy Island. So that's where they take turtles in and they'll make sure they're nice and safe, protected. Oh, no, you can see lots of fish around here. So this is a special little area here. I'm actually going to feed some of these fish. Which sounds exciting, doesn't it? So firstly, we get right over the top of this beautiful bit of coral. Yeah, they do.
它的喂这个游鳟鱼过来了，它是喂它的投食呢，对，让大家看一口。来看清楚。那个黑色的，这个黑色的。跟着船走呢，跟着船走了，因为它得吃的呢，放绳呢，不然鱼能过来围着转。
Yeah, that's actually speckled emperor. But yeah, you're right. There are road snapper around here too. So that really big dinner plate shaped fish, which looks a bit like a tropical aquarium fish on steroids. That one is a batfish. It's a pretty weird name, isn't it? Doesn't really look like a bat. But when they're juveniles, they're very triangular in shape. So that's where the name actually comes from. And they're triangular in shape to look like a leaf. So that whole story is a bit confusing and all over the place, but that is the reason why they call it batfish. So they start off life in the mangrove inlets, as do about 70% of all fish life on the Great Barrier Reef. So I'm going to feed some of the fish a little bit of food now. So what I'll do is I'll just get in a nice position. Alright, so I'll feed them on the left hand side first, and then I'll feed them on the right.
Ready? On the left? Ready?
fish blood, fish bones, and seaweed. Which sounds really delicious. Actually, it's just natural things that they find in the wild, because that's all we're really going to feed them. We want them to stay nice and healthy, and I only feed them, if you've noticed, I just fed them a really little bit. And that's just enough to get them interested in the boat. The free folks take photos. But it's just a small amount because we don't want them to rely on us at all. Otherwise, yeah, there'll be some problems there.
然后为了说和海带是什么？他们的野生动物本来吃的。
Sorry?
不会。
Oh really? You feel like taking one for dinner? Actually, interesting. A lot of you're not actually allowed to fish in this area at all. This is all protected. So that way, this ecosystem here stays the way it is, and that's very important because. If the best way I can describe this place is a bit like New York City. So there's a lot, everybody kind of needs each other in this ecosystem. It's very important.
So now we're in the semi-submersible. And I'm fine. Ceiling's high enough, there's enough oxygen. I will not get claustrophobic.
I'll close it in a second, just give me 2 minutes. Alright guys, so welcome aboard the semi-submarine. Now my name is Kiana and we have Yuki upstairs driving. So before we get underway, I just need to point out some safety features of this vessel. As you may have noticed, there's actually a ladder at the front and the back. Now that is just in case of an emergency. Now if we were to be in an emergency, you make your way up the ladders, all the middle stairs, and we'll be upstairs taking out life jackets. Now life jackets are located at the top of the semi-sub at the very back in a big yellow chart that says life jackets. Now if you are feeling seasick, please make your way upstairs to the wheel hub and feel better to get some fresh air. Otherwise there are some white seasick bags on your left hand side at the very top. Now please use these guys because I really don't feel like cleaning up any toilet today.
Today we are visiting Green Island Reef. It is one of more than 2,900 individual reefs that make up the Great Barrier Reef. Fringing reefs, patch reefs, and ribbon reefs. Green Island Reef is a patch reef. The Great Barrier Reef is the largest reef structure in the world. In fact, it is visible from the moon. The only other structure on Earth that can be seen from the moon is the Great Wall of China. The Great Barrier Reef is over 2,300 kilometres long, stretching from above the northern tip of Australia down to Bundaberg in southern Queensland. For our overseas visitors, this is approximately the length of the entire Japanese island chain, or from Seattle to Los Angeles in the USA. It has a huge area of over 35 million hectares. That's the equivalent of over 70 million football fields. Although where we are today is only a very small part of the Great Barrier Reef, we will see many of the things that make the Great Barrier Reef so special, such as the high diversity of corals and fish. You might think that some of the things that you are looking at underwater are rocks, but they are not. They are hard corals. Hard corals form the basis of the reef. There are over 300 different types of hard corals. Their scientific names are very difficult to say, so we generally refer to them by what they look like. The large rock corals are called boulder or massive corals. The ones with a pattern that looks like the surface of a brain are called brain corals, while the ones with round holes all over their surface are called honeycomb corals because they look a bit like a beehive honeycomb. The branching corals that form large patches are called staghorn corals because they look like deer antlers. The flat, plate-like corals that that you see are called plate corals. Table corals are bigger than plate corals and grow on a thick pedestal. They can be several meters in diameter. Staghorn and plate corals grow a lot faster than boulder corals. Some staghorn types can grow nearly 30 centimeters or a foot in a year, whereas typical boulder corals only grow about 2 millimeters or less than a quarter of an inch each year. You will notice some places on the reef with a lot of broken staghorn coral on the bottom. This is part of the natural cycle on the reef. Storms, waves and currents naturally break apart corals, and branching corals break easier than boulder corals because their skeletons are less dense. This broken coral, however, is a good thing. It fills the gaps and crevices in the reef and helps build the overall reef structure that we see today. No matter what shape they are, all hard corals are structurally similar. They are colonies of individual animals called coral polyps. Coral polyps are related to jellyfish and actually look a bit like an upside-down jellyfish. The polyp's soft body sits inside a limestone cup that it secretes around itself for protection. The size of the polyp depends on the type of coral. They can be smaller than a pinhead or larger than your fingernail. The coral colonies that we are looking at are made up of many polyps. Some large colonies are estimated to have over 1 million individual coral polyps. Hard corals play several very important roles on the reef. Firstly, they create the overall reef structure of the Great Barrier Reef. The Great Barrier Reef, in turn, is an important erosion barrier for the Queensland coast. It breaks up the force of oceanic waves and currents. Secondly, when corals die, they leave behind their limestone skeleton, which over time breaks down to form the beautiful white sand that you see here on the reef. In fact, broken pieces of coral, shells, and other marine life formed Green Island. Hard corals are not the only types of coral on the reef. There are also 150 different types of soft corals. Soft corals, as their name implies, do not have hard external skeletons like hard corals. Instead, they have thousands of tiny sharp pieces of limestone inside their soft tissue. These are called spicules. These spicules provide support to the soft tissue as well as fend off predators. Imagine trying to eat a soft coral would be like eating a spoonful of jelly with toothpicks in it. Soft corals also have very strong toxins or poisons in their tissue. The most commonly seen soft corals in this part of the reef are the elephantia and spaghetti soft corals. Their names describe how they look. Elephantia soft corals are large, drab olive green. Spaghetti corals look like clusters of thick noodles waving in the current. Corals that are alive and healthy are usually beige or brown. It is rare to see corals that are bright blue or purple. The coral's brown colour is actually the colour of a single-celled plant called zooxanthellae that lives in the coral tissue. This relationship between corals and this plant or algae is very special. It is a symbiotic relationship in which both the corals and the algae benefit. The algae gets a place to live where it will not get eaten, and the corals get sugar and carbohydrate nutrients from the algae. In this area of the reef, there are quite a few giant clams. These are the largest clams in the world and are only found in the Pacific Ocean. They can live to 80 years old and be longer than an average man. These large ones weigh over 1/4 of a ton, or similar to the weight of a large motorcycle. There are two common starfish or sea stars that you may see today. The bright blue Linkia starfish and the spiky crown of thorns starfish. Starfish feed in a unique way. They stick their stomachs out through their mouths, which are underneath them, and digest the food outside their bodies. Crown of thorns starfish are amazing animals. They can grow to over a metre tip to tip, have up to 24 arms, and live for more than 14 years. The crown of thorns starfish has a worldwide reputation as a reef killer because it feeds off coral. But this reputation is not entirely deserved. Crown of thorns are natural occurring animals in the reef ecosystem. They are found throughout the Pacific Ocean. In normal conditions, they play an important role on the reef by eating fast-growing corals, which allows slower-growing corals to grow. But during some years, populations of crown of thorns starfish explode, and they end up eating all the corals in the entire reef area. The corals should, in time, grow back. In the late 1990s, Green Island suffered a huge crown of thorns starfish outbreak. There were an estimated 2 million starfish around this reef. As a result, much of the coral was eaten. What you can see today is how the reef is recovering from the effect of that event. Keep a close look out. You may see a green turtle. There are several resident ones here at Green Island. They like it here because of the seagrass beds around the island. Seagrass is very special. It is nearly identical to the grass in your backyard, but has evolved to life underwater. The seagrass beds around Green Island help hold the sand together, especially in storms. Without them, there would be a lot more erosion around the island. We are now going to an area to feed some fish. This is a great opportunity for you to take some pictures because there will be a lot of fish activity. Our fish feeding is done under strict guidelines. We must abide by these guidelines as part of our Great Barrier Reef Marine Park permit conditions, and we use special fish feeding pilots that have been approved by marine parks. Your driver will now point out and identify some of the fish living here at Green Island and answer any questions you may have.
These guys are called yellowtail fusiliers. Now these guys are most likely found in massive schools. They're not too far from each other as they like to pretty much stick together wherever they go. Now it's actually really rare to see a yellowtail fusilier swimming on their own, as they're actually too scared they're going to get eaten by a reef shark. Now they actually have another name as well called the banana fish, and you can probably assume why. It's actually because their tails actually look like a banana underneath the water. Now the silver ones with the orange sort of tinge to them, these guys are called spangled emperors or northern snappers. Now these guys are actually pretty good eating. Now they can live up to about 20 to 30 years of age and fully grown. They can weigh up to about 60 kilograms in weight. 60 kilograms? They're emperor snappers. Yeah. And there's one with the rib in the middle. The brownish one. See that one with the spots on the top? Yeah.
Okay, so now we're doing lunch here on Green Island. We've done the glass bottom boat and the semi-submersible. And we're getting pizza and Caesar salad with lunch. With a side of Asian. I'm sorry, I don't have anything for you.
It was not a good idea to feed them in.
This is some for me, some for you. One down there is coming up.
Big one when you're getting your coffee.
He wants that pizza. Oh, here comes his friend. Oh, he got it.
You got the whole thing.
Oh, that one just took off. Where'd he go? Oh, he's got right here. Take it over there. So this is all Green Island, where we've been all day. Finished lunch. It has been raining, and there's probably more rain to come. This is where we had lunch. In here. And we'll walk around. So there we go.
Oh, that way's the trip.
Yeah. And up ahead, there's a sign that says there's a crocodile zoo and gift shop. Of course, the obligatory gift shop. And as you can see by this video, it's been Asian Day here. We think it was a boatload that came in, because we're definitely a minority. Well, there's the gift shop. Look. For all your crocodile needs. Aquariums.
Yeah.
No. Entered by the Shipwreck Gift Shop. Barrier Reef. Great Barrier Reef National Park. And follow the boardwalk through the jungle. Ooh, didn't think of that. Snakes, spiders, bats. Oh, we have our own bats. But look up in the trees. You see any bats?
Yeah, they probably don't fly over this stuff.
Yeah. Lazy bats. It's a little walk in the woods. And this is the beach area. Tide is out, I think. Yes. It's a special place. A special place. Look out.
Junk on the beach.
Tide's out here too.